style. That's how we doing it tonight. Not all the way well style, but we gonna do what we came to do. So tonight on the Daily Go Getimism show. First of all, I'd like to welcome y'all to the Daily Go Getimism show. I'm gonna thank you for your patronage. Thanks for coming through. Make sure you hit the like button as you come on in. Or if you're watching this on a replay, make sure you hit that like button. I'd appreciate it. It goes a long way to help as far as helping the channel is concerned. Hold on. Okay. So tonight on the Daily Go Getimism show. Tonight on the Daily Go Getimism show, we are talking about. I thought I was broke until I thought I was broke until I thought I didn't have no money. Thought I was struggling hard. Thought I had to do what I had to. Till I met this guy. He pulled my card. He pulled my coat. I was like, damn, yo, what the hell is going on? I can't match your flow. You know, when we think about, it's Throwback Thursday. Let's get real about relationships Thursday. And so tonight, we're going to get a little nostalgic. We're going to talk about the way we grew up. The income class that we grew up and the things that we had to do as children, to basically become adults and learn how to manage our money, learn, the value of a dollar and, how to have a house or keep a roof over our head, drive a nice car, raise your children, keep some money in your pocket or whatever. And many of us may have thought that we grew up struggling because, maybe we grew up with modest means, blue collar parents, went to work every day, saved their money, saved up for the holidays. Put things on layaway. Y'all know layaway. You remember where my layaway moms at? They's laying away for Christmas all the way in June. Where y'all at? Laying away furniture, clothes, toys. Gifts. Get right, baby. And to lay away something, that's just like saving or building credit. So it wasn't like today where you can pay and take whatever you want home, like a credit card. When you laid something away, it was like, man, you went to go visit that thing you was paying on every time you went to make a payment. Where my people at that always wanted to get a look at what you had on layaway to make sure that they didn't swap out your layaway and sell it to somebody else? See, I'm from Philly and I work in a clothing store called City Blue, right? So the layaway game was on tilt. And I'm going to admit that there was sometimes when people had the money right then and there, they would sell somebody's layaway and just make sure they replaced it before the person came in. And I used to always be thinking to myself, what happens if that person come in today like, yo, I'm ready to pay my thing off. What you gonna do? What you gonna pay my thing off? I got the money for you. Yeah. So if you used to play the layaway game, then that doesn't mean you were struggling, but it definitely means that you didn't always have all the money right then and there. So you was on your way. Fiscally responsible, fiscally frugal. Do they still have layaway? Can you lay away furniture? Shoot, you know how many bedroom sets, living room sets got laid away? Siemens Furniture, baby. Who was the other joint? It was Siemens. Not Raymore and Flanagan. That came later. But you could definitely lay away there. What was that other? It slips my mind. If y'all know it, put it in the comments. I think those were national stores. T. Carry Right, morning, noon, and night. What's up? Yo, Crash, my people, what's up? Let's talk about it. Varshay, Yeah, so when you grow up and you weren't always in the position to get exactly what you wanted, exactly when you wanted it, you may deduce that you grew up broke or, struggling or, you know what I mean? Y'all had a hard time. Like maybe there was some sneakers that you wanted or some designer jeans and you had to wait or you had to get the knockoff version. But hey, yo, don't worry about it now. Because now you probably got it together for your own kids. Shout out to all my people that grew up with a lot of siblings. And you know how it is, man, when you grow up with a lot of brothers and sisters. Y'all a large family. Y'all might have been close. But sometimes y'all was so close that you had to share, baby. Yo, what you wear, baby? What you wear, I'ma wear. We gon' wear we around the same size. Yo, they see me sometimes with your stuff, the same guys. Sometimes we tell the same truth, the same lies. Everything is gonna be alright. Yeah. So that's what we talking about tonight, y'all. I thought I grew up broke until I met my friend. Woo! See, you might really think you broke or grew up broke until you grow up with somebody that really went through it. Somebody that really ain't used to nothing and will do anything in order to get something, you know? That's what we talking about tonight, y'all. So let's rock. I'm here for y'all. Hopefully you here for me. I thought I was broke. I thought So, as y'all see with the poll question, I'm asking y'all to identify the income class that you grew up. Hey man, some people grew up with really good money. And we talking about the 60s, 70s, 80s, even a piece of the 90s, where you made $50,000. Yo, you was living high off the hog. That was like upper middle class, It's crazy to even think like that, right? I remember when I was in 6th grade, and my man told me that his mom got a new job, making $10,000 a year. This was 1981, man. And I was like, God damn, that's crazy. $10,000 a year in 1981 was considered a decent salary, man. That's unfathomable, right? Well, that's how it was. So you have to think of how much it used to cost to buy a new car. In 1977, a brand new Cadillac Eldorado was $14,000, fully equipped, everything on it, all trimmings. A Seville was damn near 20 grand. So if you had a Seville, you had to be upper middle class, because that was the highest end that you could pay for a car before you started getting into the foreigns, you know? Shout out to Cadillac. So that's how it's going down. Urban Therapy with Sun 752. And this is daily. It's the Daily Go Get Mism Show. You think it ain't when it is? You think it won't when it is? We are here and we are in motion. We do this thing, taking all fast lane, no coasting, and everything is gonna be all right. We talking about, I thought I was broke until I met tonight. That's what we talking about, y'all. How y'all feeling, man? Everybody good? I hope everybody is. Let me see what's up, man. Let me see who's in here. Shepherd Chapel. Texplainable? No, Texplains Bible? Wow, okay. What's going on? How you feeling? And Kenny Latinville? Wait a minute. Latinville? Says when they knock at your door and you don't want to answer. Was that an income class or income characteristic? What's that? Varshay said layaway was the thing back then. Yes, it was. It served a lot of people. It was a good look. Come on, Carrie says. Oh, okay. All right, so YouTube is back to showing everybody's. Okay, I get it now. So they're not showing your screen name. They back to this. Okay. All right. I remember this. All right. TK Wright says if that's the case, I may need to change my answer because my dad made more than that, and my mom never had to work unless she wanted to. That's what's up. Kenny says, I should garbage, bro. I don't even know what that means. I don't. I wish I did, but I don't. I absolutely do not. It's all good, though. And that's Bill, a.k.a. Shepherd. All right, cool. Oh, you said no Kmart? No Kmart? Okay. All right. So, yeah, that's what we talking about tonight. I thought I was broke until I really met somebody that was really broke. And we're going to really get into this thing, man, because many of us misconstrue or we pick the wrong category that we may have grown up in when we were getting, as we were kids or whatever. And it's easy to do. It's easy to think that you grew up not having no money, not having nothing or whatever, because if you grew up kind of spoiled, and many people don't even know that they were spoiled. All they know is that when they wanted something and didn't get it, they figure like I would get it if we had more of it, but we ain't got nothing. I always gotta wait to get what I want. Get this hardware out of the way, y'all, and then we can talk to each other like brothers. We can talk to each other like sisters. We can get this thing going on. Make sure y'all hit the like button, though. That's all I'm gonna ask of you. Please make sure that you hit the like button, share the show, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. This is the Daily Go Get 'Emism Show. I'm your host, Sun 752, aka Omar with the. And if you can't say Omar with the, well, then you just say Omar with the R. This is the Daily Go Get 'Emism Show. I'm feeling like a real man should, and I hope y'all feeling like real men and women should as well. So we talking about, I thought I grew up broke Until now, until dot 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 can be a lot of things. It can be until you really were broke and you had to experience what it was like to have to dig yourself out of a jam or climb out of a hole that you dug for yourself, or when you met somebody, hooked up with somebody, was dealing with somebody, talked to somebody, experienced something with somebody that really didn't have nothing growing up. Really didn't have nothing growing up. Because here's the thing. When culturally, when your parents raise you, they teach you certain things. They teach you how to get things. They teach you how to ask for things. They teach you how to achieve things. That's the job of a parent, you know. And when you are a middle-class parent, you understand that you got to get your ass up in the morning, take your ass to work, put in that pain for 8 hours or more, and, maybe fight your way up, for a promotion or a raise or a better salary, more opportunities, build something for your family. That's what you learn in a middle-class family. You know what I mean? You learn the value of going to work, doing well, and maybe a little bit of diplomacy or some type of business savvy. So the likelihood that if you grew up in a blue collar family, a decent blue collar family, like maybe your dad was in the union, maybe your mom was in the union, union work, you know what I mean? Getting fair wage, making sure that, the union was fighting for, a good salary for your peoples. If your parents went to work every day and they was in the union or whatever, then they're teaching you how to work. They may even teach you how to get into the union, so you can have some backing and some type of protection against these corporate slugs and blood suckers. You know what I mean? So more than likely, your parents aren't going to teach you how to steal and rob to get what you want. They're going to teach you how to work to get what you want, even if they steal on the job, because, a lot of blue collar people steal on the job, but they got a job to steal from. Shout out to all my blue collar folks out there, union or non-union, that take a little something from their job. I understand. I might not practice it, but I understand. I get it. You know what I mean? Shout out to all. I ain't going to get into it. Y'all know who y'all are. You know what you done took from your job. That's between me and you, and really just between you. So when you deal with somebody, and this is not a knock on nobody, I'm not trying to diss nobody, but when you grow up with somebody who may have grown up on welfare, who may have grown up in the projects, you see that their modes of survival and the way that they look at the world and how to get things, how to obtain things is just different from you. So you might see the difference when you go to school with somebody who grew up from the projects. I grew up right around the corner from the projects. Grew up right around the corner from them. So I went to school with a lot of kids who grew up in the projects, who lived in the projects. So, you see the difference when you go over their crib and when they come over your crib. It's a difference. And as you start getting older and things started, you start calculating what they might get for Christmas and birthdays and things like that. And you see a difference. Not that everybody who lives in the projects is dead broke, because that's not the case. It's based on your income. It just happens to be a concentration of poor people that breeds a lot of violence, because there's a lot of lack of education and no job opportunities where they have housing projects. It just is what it is. This is just, study after study after study has proven this. So when you go to school with somebody, or you become friends with somebody, or you hook up with somebody who's used to taking what they want instead of working for what they want, you see the difference. You get what you want by working, saving, things like that. They get what they want by scheming on others, stealing, robbing, taking from others. And they don't feel no kind of way about it. And when you're younger, you're not going to understand how they are. You're not going to really understand that. As you get older, you may start to get it like, oh, okay, well, this is how they learn how to get things. Like, and once again, this is not a knock to anybody who grew up in the projects. This is just an example. And listen, my grandmother lived in the projects and she didn't steal nothing from nobody. You know what I mean? She came from the South. A lot of people came from the South and moved up to the North thinking that they was moving in these nice places and they was just housing projects. And, you know what I mean? You found out what it was hitting for once you got there, But nonetheless, you start seeing how the game go. So that's what we're talking about tonight. I thought I was broke. I thought I grew up broke. Until I really got around somebody else. Like, ooh. For example, how many of y'all know people who grew up whose parents wasn't around or their parents was like alcoholics or on drugs? Where my 80s babies at? Because unfortunately, the 80s was the crack era. So a lot of kids that grew up in the 80s experienced, their parents being on drugs, their parents not being attentive, their parents not being around, having to grow up with their grandparents, having to not really have the kind of relationship with your parents that you would have, not a healthy relationship with your parents because your parents was out there. They was doing what they did out there in them streets. So 80s babies know a lot about that. And not only 80s babies, but a lot of 80s babies know it. All right. So, damn, Kenny Laddenville says, my mom never worked a day in her life. Interesting. Okay. What up, Mia Cunningham? What's good? How you feeling? Good to see y'all. I wonder why. I'm gonna try to refresh this joint, see if it fix y'all handles. I don't like this. Nope. It did not fix it. It's still the same. Oh, well, I guess we just gonna have to rock like that. All right. Carrie says, my mom worked for a few months, a couple of times, just because she wanted extra shopping money. Okay. All right. And she also says, I thought that we were broke because there were 9 people in the house. But then I went to a friend's apartment and they barely had furniture. I was in 5th grade. That will hip you to some shit. Yeah, you swore you ain't have it till you saw somebody who really ain't have it. And when you see somebody who really doesn't have it and has no idea of how to get it, yeah, it's going to have an effect on you. No doubt there. Carrie says, then I thought about it. Everyone in the family were married, only the man working, and they lived in and owned their houses. Okay. Yeah. Owning your houses. Or some of y'all parents owned other houses, was getting paid rent. That's how I grew up. My dad owned property. He believed in owning property. And he did. He owned a lot. He bought a lot. And just like I said, man, my man in 1981, my classmate in 1981, 6th grade, and he was talking about how his mom was making $10,000 a year. He was proud as a peacock. And I remember my dad was making $3,500 a month. So he was like George Jefferson. Real shit. Now, when you think about it, $3,500 a month, a lot of y'all probably easily make that now. Take home. But back then, let's do this. Let's see. How much was $36,000 a year in 1977? $36,000 a year in 1977 is equivalent to approximately $192,460.99 in today's 2025 money. That was upper middle class then. $36,000. So you see how far inflation has raised the cost of living. Many of y'all probably can't even fathom only making $36,000 a year. And if you make $36,000 a year, peace to you. I ain't going at nobody's neck. I'm not judging nobody. What up, JJ? How you feeling? And what up, Carla? Carla. Yo, Carla said YouTube on some crap with these unfamiliar names. You ain't never lied. I'm like, what we doing? I tried to refresh the page to see if I could get y'all real names back. Y'all coming in here all impostered out. But yeah, $36,000 a year in 1977 was equivalent to $192,460.99 in today's money. $36,000. Like I said, a Cadillac Eldorado was $14,000. You had plenty of salary left after you bought a Eldorado outright. And my dad owned his own business. He owned a maintenance business, and he owned mad property. So he had multiple streams of income. He was getting money. He was getting money. It's crazy. So, but that was in the 70s. For my family, the bottom fell out of our shit in 1980. 1980 pulled the rug from up under us. We went from riches to rags, literally. Totally fucked up in 80. The whole game changed. Everything shifted. Riches to rags. Dad lost his business. Had to go back to work as a respiratory therapist. You know what I mean? He got back on, though, started buying houses, wind up living off of that exclusively for the rest of his life. He was a businessman. He was savvy. He was good with money. So I didn't grow up rich. But there were times when we were upper middle class. I guess you could say that. I guess. So I saw the difference. You know, going from $36,000 a year, and then my mom and my dad got separate. They separated and eventually divorced a couple of years later. Everything changed. I knew what it was like not to be able to get everything I wanted just because I wanted it. So, you know, I get it from both sides. I really do. And ain't nothing really wrong with that. You know, it ain't nothing really wrong with that. You learn. You live and you learn in life. And we got to live and we got to learn. Y'all still in the chat getting to know each other. I understand. Make sure y'all hit the like button, though. Well, we're a little light on the likes. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. But yeah, I thought I was broke until, or should I say, I thought I grew up. I thought I grew up struggling until I really got to look at what struggling is. Any of y'all leave your parents' house prematurely, thinking that you was grown? Huh? Any of y'all leave your parents' house right at 18 when you didn't have to leave at 18, but you wanted to do your own thing? So you broke out. Raven HQ was good. Left home at 14, never returned. So if you left at 14, like what was your knowledge base at 14? I know that the OGs had to help you out. You too young to even get a regular job. Somebody might have hired you, but more than likely at 14, you might have had to, get a job on the street. Wink, 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 wink. I get it. I totally get it. But yeah, so if you left the crib at 14 years old, that means that you had to learn how to survive out there in the street. Get your own place or, pay somebody, for a place to stay, feed yourself, clothe yourself, or get help doing it. Because if you left the crib at 14, I'm sure you didn't run away to your grandma's house. Shout out to everybody, any and everybody that ran away from home, but they really only went to their grandparents' crib. I know how it be. I wish my grandparents would have lived a little closer. I wouldn't have ran away, though. I was good at the crib. Oh, wow. Raven says, I had started a cattle company at 12 and got into cybersecurity at 14. Really? Do tell. Because that seems very industrious. JJ says, hell yeah, I left at 16, 17. Okay. Mia said, LOL, left and came right back. It's rough out there. It's a cold world out there. Shit is real in the streets. It's real out there, son. I get it. Yeah. When you at your parents' crib, more than likely, everything is laid out for you. Even your plans for the next step, the next grade, the next phase of your life. Your parents often map all that out for you. Raven says, USDA has a junior farmers program in the late 1990s. Took advantage of that. That sounds good. That's dope. Man, I couldn't imagine being out of my crib at 14 years old. Doing what? How? I wasn't built for the dope game. So what was I going to do? Who was I going to stay with? Mia says, I met a few people that said that they moved out between 14 and 17. And I'm like, how did you make it? Who was renting to you? And what did you do to survive? Now, I've definitely known some people that was out of the crib by the time, like before they was 18, when they was like 16 or 17. But, yeah, I got stories, man. A lot of them had to do what they had to do. Some of them sold a little ass. Some of them sold a little coke. Sell a little crack. Sell a little ass. Get dough tonight. Get dough tonight. Raven says, father was military, mother was a nurse. Both were narcissistic and stole money from me, so I left. They stole money from you at 12, 13, 14 years old? Okay. Carrie says, I was 18, came back at 20 and a half, left back out at 23, never went back. JJ says, I looked older than I was. No one ever questioned my age. I worked and played music around the bars and clubs. People just assumed I was older. I feel you on that. Raven says, embezzlement is the same regardless of the company owner's age. My brother in Christ. Okay. Hey, it sounds like you have a hell of a story. Did you write a book? If you didn't, you should. Because that shit sounds like it could be inspirational and sensational. Definitely sensational. Yeah. Have any of you ever not known if you were going to eat dinner that night? Real shit. Have any of you ever grew up so broke or so poor that dinner time wasn't a guarantee every night? And yes, there are people who have been through that. Some of y'all may know people, or you may have grown up having to move all the time. Having to uproot your kids all the time is often indicative of not being able to pay the rent wherever you are. So you may have been able to come up with the month's rent and the month's security, but as the months went on, you pretty much only stayed in a place until eviction proceedings were coming, started to come, and then you moved. So I've known people who lived multiple places in North Philly, Germantown, West Philly, South Philly, Southwest. They was always moving. Went to a lot of different schools and whatever. And when that's the case, you meet a lot of different people, but you never really have a foundation. It's really not a fair thing to do to your children. And maybe that's just the way I feel. And it is the way I feel. I feel like your children should have a neighborhood base. They should have a neighborhood that they grew up in, a foundation. Regardless of when y'all move, you should have an old neighborhood that you can visit. Like, I go around my old way. That's where a lot of my friends are. That's where I went to school. Yeah, I go back around my old way and kick it with my friends, with my peoples. And like I said, that's just the way I feel. I don't like to move. So I couldn't imagine a situation where my mom was constantly packing her shit up and having to move, another van, another station wagon, another U-Haul, another, cousins, aunts, uncles, boyfriends helping us out and shit. I couldn't imagine, living that way. But I knew plenty of people who did. Okay. JJ says, one bar owner was talking to me about Vietnam one night. I was like, what the hell? I told him I was 21, 22. He said, but you've been coming here 6 or 7 years. You had a junior bar license. Baby. Make sure y'all hit the like button, y'all. Make sure y'all hit the like button, please. That's all I ask of you. Okay. Damn. Mia says that I definitely didn't eat every night. Interesting. Get the fuck out of here. And JJ says, no, I have eaten ramen noodles more often than I have preferred, but I had plenty of them. Hey. I remember when they wasn't called ramen noodles yet. They was just oodles of noodles. Or they was that those noodles with the Chinese writing. They ain't even had no English on the pack. I go back that far. Those were the good ones. That was the real ramen. Mia says, pay rent and lights, not always enough for food. Wow. Carrie says, never growing up. Yes, as an adult, when I first moved out, then later on, as a parent, my kids always ate, but not me. Damn. Okay. Amir. What up, Amir? What do you think about Israel? Fuck Israel. Oh. Sorry. But I stand with Palestine. Carrie says, Mia, if you ever don't have dinner, let me know. I got you. That's what's up. Raven said, I've always been a nomad, not having a home that was long term. My family fell apart. I went my own way, been trying to secure enough land and homes to build my future for my grandkids before they're born. Raven said, cup of noodles. Cup of noodles was actually kind of expensive. There's a difference between ramen noodles and cup of noodles. Cup of noodles cost you a couple of dollars. Yo, I remember when ramen noodles was 19 cents a pack. That was in the 90s. 19 cents a pack, baby. Then I remember they went up 27 a pack. I was like, wait a minute. Y'all price gouging. Cup of noodles ain't never been less than $1 or something. And I don't like cup of noodles, man. Them joints be hard, tasting like the vegetables in them shit. Maybe I just didn't let them settle long enough. Them vegetables used to be tasting all hard and, you know what I mean? Like plastic and shit. Is it just me? Damn, Jason, I know that's you. And the only reason I know it's you is because of your the photo. They got you in here talking about some Sammy Cubano. We're like, what we doing? What are we doing? Shit, what's my name up in this bitch? You know what I mean? My son 752? And my son 752? Carrie says, JJ, I laughed out loud at that Vietnam comment. JJ says, I knew nearly all of the brands that played my area. I would grab a case or two and help them carry stuff in. No one ever questioned it. Mia says, Carrie, God bless, but that was the past. I'm definitely in a much better place. Thank God. I had a successful career and raised my children to be amazing adults who are doing well on their own. Sammy Cubano says, I remember days of struggle when I was really young. After my parents split, I was oddly aware of the circumstances for a child my age, but fortunately, that period didn't last long. You grew up in Mount Airy. I'm just saying, you grew up in Mount Airy. So, although, you know, your mom, your dad may have had the budget, you grew up in Mount Airy at a time when Mount Airy was Mount Airy. Let me stop outing my man. You know what I'm saying? But he did. He grew up in Mount... Yo. I met him in Mount Airy. I did. He said, don't forget, I started a brickyard, though. God damn it, I keep forgetting. He's really from the G. I keep forgetting that his parents moved on up to the... That's what's up. That's what's up. All right. JJ says, my family was always solid and home was always there. I just got ahead of myself for a minute. Okay. Mia says, portfolio looking well. T. Carey. Okay. You're a real one. That's what's up. Sammy Cubano, a.k.a. my man Jay Sloan says, by the way, this is Jason. I don't know why I'm popping up this way. Everybody's exposed, looking all crazy. Here y'all all wearing y'all naked names. You know what I mean? Look at y'all. Y'all out here with these skimpy ass names. Looking crazy. They outed y'all aliases. Raven says, I've had it all, lost it all a few times. Life's weird like that. It can happen. But it sounds like you had your ducks pretty much in a row. If you are building businesses, you know? Oh, okay. So I am still Sun 752. Thank God. Thank God. They acting funny. Carrie says, Mia, the comments were moving so fast. I thought it was a comment in the present. All right. JJ says, I think cup of noodles taste like the styrofoam now. The old plastic cups were better. Yeah, I mean, listen, man. Like I said, maybe my water wasn't hot enough, and maybe I didn't let it sit long enough because that shit was ass. I don't like cup of noodles to this day. But you give me some oodles of noodles. Actually, I don't eat that shit no more. But I don't eat it no more for health reasons. When I found out that the mice won't eat that shit, I'm not eating it. Anything a rat won't eat ramen noodles, what's that telling you? What is that telling you? When the mice are like, nah, I ain't fucking with them ramen noodles. I'm gonna go over here and eat this newspaper. And I'm gonna make a nest and have my babies over here. Mia says, damn Raven, potted meat. What's that? Oh, I know what potted meat is. Yeah. That shit's terrible. That shit's terrible. Raven says, I grew up between an Indian reservation and the poorest areas of Kentucky. Didn't get to travel the world until later in my adult life. In my 40s now, and realizing stress makes me look older. Okay. 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 Raven says, it's not an alias for me. Legally, my name is Raven. That's what's up. My man Troy Diesel is in the house. My man Troy Diesel is in the house. AKA Troy McNeil, 924. What up, Troy McNeil, 924? That ain't your birthday. They just give you any kind of numbers, don't they? They don't care. And Troy said, thank God Troy be Troying. Yo, let Troy Troy. Let try. If the try won't try, what a guan do? Try needs to try. Come on, Carrie says, I told my kids that mice won't eat it, so why should you? Like, look, man, animals will tell you what's good and what ain't. Like flies won't eat a McDonald's burger or fries. What's that telling you? I mean, real shit. Like, what is that telling you? That shit don't decompose. You talking about some all beef patties? No, the fuck it ain't. I don't know what that shit is. Hit that like button, y'all. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Make sure that y'all share the show. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. This is the Daily Go Getimism Show. And we are talking about, I thought I grew up struggling until I really, really felt what struggling was, or met somebody that was really struggling, or had to struggle with somebody, struggle with somebody, struggle with somebody, JJ says, I'm the same with Hardee's gravy biscuits. I was helping uncle build a house. A bony, starving dog came up. He tried to give it a gravy biscuit, and the dog left. Well, goddamn. And you know, dogs don't normally look before they eat. They normally eat. That's why it's so easy to poison a dog. Someone and no one. What's up? What's up, Professor Common Sense? Oh, you slay me. Make sure y'all hit the like button, y'all. Make sure y'all hit the like button, please. That's the only thing I'm asking. Mia says all beef patties. No, the fuck it ain't.
You have a call.
Hey, yo.
Good.
Hey, yo. The one them cow tries in the house. What up, the one them cow try?
I used to work in a hurry. I love my chicken with the goat named Curry. Them no everybody.
Yeah.
Damn right, boy. Good afternoon, y'all.
Good morning to you.
Forget the morning. Forget the damn morning, man. Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, I see it. Get up and do salt and pepper. What's going on, families?
Everything good over here, man. Feeling like a real man should.
Yeah, yes, you better be. You better be. I'm trying not to allow them to let the Troy files out. If they let my files out, I'll be in trouble.
I hear you.
Yeah, man, shit. I knew I was, say it again, I knew I was what?
No, I thought I grew up struggling until I
seen other people struggle.
Right.
So I seen other people struggle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, you know, it takes me out because our children would never know what a struggle is. You know what I mean? Because when we went through a struggle, we vowed when we had children, we would never let them have to go through a struggle like we went through a struggle. You know. So, you know, I sit back and I think about what did I see? Like, you know, when my mom, when we was younger, I'm not throwing names out there, but it was a family that my middle brother was best friends with was with the family, and my older brother was best friends, and my sister was best friends. Well, he was best friends with the family.
Yeah.
The mom passed away, so my mom stepped up. It was like an honorary mom to him, and you know, gave clothes to him, made sure they ate, made sure they bathed, and stepped in to be a parent, be a mother to him. It got to the point where the one that was my brother's best friend wound up moving in with us because he was over the house so many times. My mom was like, you can move in if you want to. And she treated him like a son.
Yeah.
And it takes me out because my brother loved it like it was not like my best friend living with us. It's like my brother. It was all fun and games until Christmas came and she started buying them Christmas stuff. 'Cause, you know, I sit back and I think about what's what did I see? Like, you know, when my mom, when we was younger, I'm not throwing names out there, but it was a family that my middle brother was best friends with the family, and my older brother was best friends with the family. So, you know, I think about when we was younger, He was like, "Yo, you gotta go home, man. You messing up our Christmas." I was like, "Damn!" And he turned out to be a pastor.
Wow.
Oh shit!
That's crazy.
They used to came. She took all of us down Crash Brothers.
Yeah.
Got our suits, got our shoes from down Shoe City. Know what I mean,
Shoe City. Oh shit. Shoe City.
Oh yeah.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
And then when you got older, you stepped up to Ronald Phillips.
Hey, dude, they sold all the same kind of shoes. Them damn.
Then you really want wanted to be that boss. You went to Baltino.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of struggle. You know, and I think that I had so much love around me that I really didn't adapt to the struggle. The struggle didn't adapt to me. You know what I mean? Because there were so many other people that I was friends with that was going through their struggle. That shit, we was just having fun. Life wasn't life when we was growing up. We was just having fun. It all became serious when that drug game came out. And that struggle wasn't no longer a struggle. It was a struggle for survival on the street when they started shooting.
Well, I mean, so when you was growing up, you didn't feel any struggle?
I didn't feel any struggle because I had more love than struggle. I didn't feel it because, well, like I said, my mom already let it be known. You ain't getting no new sneaks till you get a hold of the sneak.
Okay.
So I made the hold of my sneak. I didn't have to.
But ain't that a struggle?
That's not a struggle because if I didn't make the hole in the sneak, I wouldn't need no new sneaks.
Okay, but what I'm saying is,
the struggle comes with the fact that she didn't buy me none, period.
No, not necessarily, because
you mean to tell me if I didn't drag my feet up all across the ground because I wanted some new sneaks, it wouldn't have been a struggle.
No. What I'm saying is, when you are aware of your parents' income, of what their limitation is, that's still a struggle for you. It may not be.
I wasn't aware of her income.
Okay. All right. So
I wasn't aware of it because the thing about it is that was just how she felt.
Okay.
That was just how she felt. Because when she didn't get me nothing, I had a grandmother and grandfather that would get me something. And when them grandparents didn't get me nothing, I had more grandparents and grandfathers that would get me something. So it wasn't like I was without. You know what I mean? So I didn't get I got what I needed. I didn't get what I wanted. You know what I'm saying?
That's interesting that you don't look at that as a struggle, because I do.
No, I didn't. I never looked at it as a struggle because I've seen how other people struggled.
Right.
I've seen their struggle, and I know that when you see other people struggle, you like, damn, I'm complaining. Like right now, I'm going through a struggle, and I wake up every morning and I go through my struggle, and I'm like, when I go out my apartment and I look and I see other people and I see their struggle, I'm saying to myself, I'm kicking myself in the ass like damn, I'm sitting up here complaining, and I see other people going through what they going through.
Huh.
You know,
I don't know. Like, okay, all right. Well, I mean, if that's the way it was, that's the way it was. Like, anytime
like what Jason just said, I wasn't aware of the struggle because at the end of the day, I got everything that I needed, not what I wanted. Now, if I didn't get what I needed, it would be different. You know what I mean?
Well, to me, not getting what you want is a struggle.
The struggle was getting the hand-me-down clothes from my brothers. Now that's a struggle.
Okay. Look. I'm sorry. I look at not getting what I want as a struggle because
I didn't get what I want. I didn't look at that as a struggle. because at some point in time, I would get what I want. Not at the time, but I would get it. You know,
No, what I'm
sometimes
saying
you
is
don't get
this.
what you want until the person is ready to give it to you. And that's how my mom was, and my grandparents was.
Okay, well, to me, that's a struggle because
To me, as a kid, it might have felt that way to some people, but it didn't. As I got older, it didn't feel that way.
okay, all right. So, but you said that you saw other people that were really struggling. So, didn't you have to compare that to how you was living?
Well, I compared to how I was living. And it wasn't that struggle. The things that I was going through was not so much as bad as other people. Like I had a friend, one of my friends was like, turned out to be one of the biggest drug dealers on the East Coast. And when he was growing up, I seen his hardships.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where he would curse his mom out. His mom would be like, I wish you was my son because you got so much respect for me. Not realizing she had an addiction. And when he started doing what he was doing, he contributed to her addiction. So I mean, at the end of the day, I seen that struggle. I seen homelessness with some of my friends. I seen some of my friends that struggled so bad that when they got in the drug game, it didn't even you wouldn't even never knew they had a struggle.
Mm.
The same one I was sitting up here saying that struggled so hard to I remember he was wearing British Knights and the fucking hill was damn near hitting the back of was leaning down to almost the ground.
Mm-hmm.
But then when he got in that drug game, this boy used to go out and buy the brand new Jordans just to go play basketball in.
Uh-huh.
You know how it was.
And listen, and even that's still a struggle to me. Because struggle is not limited to finances. It may start there, but there are other things, as you well know, that you can struggle with in life. And so, you may struggle with, let's say, you struggle with your self-esteem, and you might think that you really, struggle with that, keeping it up and being sure of yourself and confident and things like that, until you meet somebody who hates themselves totally. Until you see somebody that totally doesn't want to be themselves and will bend over backwards in order to accommodate somebody else or try to be like somebody else. So
my struggle as a kid was struggling with being bullied as a kid.
Okay.
That was a struggle with me. Struggle with being bullied. Struggle with insecurities.
Okay.
So it was. I had other struggles that I struggled with. But certain things. And as I got older, those the certain things. As I start growing and I start maturing and I start getting older and I start defending myself against bullies and allowing myself to know that I have a self-worth. It just got a little bit better. So I mean, at the end of the day, I have to. It's more of adapting. It's more of adapting to who the person you are. Every day, I'm still trying to learn how to adapt to it. Now the struggle then, it might not be major. My struggle now is major.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Well, okay. So you can definitely compare a struggle at one point in your life to a point in a different part of your life, a different phase of your life.
Yeah, most definitely.
So it all fits into the narrative of what we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I'm of the impression that you never really stop struggling with something. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, because struggling is it's another word for trying as far as I'm concerned. you know, trying to achieve, trying to change, trying to adapt, trying to get better. So, you know, like if you've ever started a job and you qualify for the job, but the job might be hard. You know what I mean? It may be in a different field than you were before, or it may be in the same field, but maybe they do things so differently, and you're so used to catching on fast at a job and making an impact quickly, and it might be taking you a while, and it might be fucking with you a little bit. Like, yo, I'm used to coming in here and being Saquon Barkley. I'm over here like, you know what I mean?
Before I became a chef and I got into the culinary industry, I struggled with the insecurities of not belonging.
Okay.
Or feeling like I didn't belong, because there was so many people that went to these culinary schools like Johnson and Wells and CIA, the Culinary Institute of America, and all these big time culinary schools that when I got in the kitchen, my insecurities kicked in.
I understand. I can see how that would happen.
And then when I adapted and I did my own homework, and people was like, "Who taught you how to cook?" I told them, "God." You know, because I always believe that you do have, everybody is given talents or given gifts, but you have to nurture them. You have to nurture them. You have to put the work in with it. You know, and if you don't put the work in it, you're not going to be great at it. Don't get upset because I'm walking around the kitchen and I'm popping my own collar because I'm doing something that I never thought I would be doing. And then when I'm doing it, I'm still, number one, I'm great at it. And I'm still doing it because I'm still like, I'm doing this shit for a living. Shit, in the 90s, I didn't even know how to cook a steak to temperature.
Damn.
All steaks was well done.
Oh, you cook black steak?
Yes. Yes. So now, you know, from the door, my steaks is medium rare. You cook it to medium rare, and you serve it to medium.
Yeah, you can always make a steak hotter, but you can't roll it back once you get it all the way up. You know what I mean?
I always try to tell people, but one thing I always try to explain to our people, because 9 times out of 10 there's always our people that want steaks well done. And what I try to explain to them is that if you get a well done steak, you might as well just get a cheesesteak. Because especially, can you imagine getting a well done tomahawk?
Listen, man, I'm not fucking with no well done steak. You know what I mean? I didn't grow up like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I didn't grow up. I didn't grow up doing beef like that way.
I didn't know nothing about temperatures. I didn't learn nothing about temperatures.
Hold on. I'm not saying that people are wrong for wanting a steak the way that they want it. I ain't saying that. What I'm saying is, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't taught that way. I was taught the medium rare way, the medium well way. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was what it was. So, you know, that doesn't make me more right and everybody else wrong. You know what I'm saying? But it's just a difference in the way that I was raised. So whereas, you know, somebody, you know, if I'm around a bunch of black people who believe in the well done steak, you know, they're going to look at me funny because I like my shit a little bit pick. I like to be able to cut my shit and not have to chew it. You know what I mean? Like I've just put in three bars of bubble yum and shit.
Mm-hmm. And also, you're getting more nutrients out of the steak when you cook it to a temperature. The nutrients, when you cook it well done, there's no nutrients in that.
Well,
at all. You're just eating tire rubber.
Well, I mean, ain't no meat that's good for you, but I know where you coming from. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know, a lot of people look at steak as protein.
Yeah, they do. They do.
You know.
I know where they get that from, but you know, I get it.
They get that from the weightlifting world.
They get it from the weightlifting world. And they also get that from the clogged arteries. You know what I mean? HGH, human growth hormone, anabolic steroids, dead at 35 years old, a big pound of dead ass muscle. You know what I mean? WWE shit.
I want y'all to stop doing this, man. Stop fucking with my food, bro. Earlier, y'all was fucking with McDonald's. Leave McDonald's alone.
Shit. I left that shit alone a long time ago. That shit is very alone to me. Fuck McDonald's. I never thought that shit tastes good anyway. I never understood it. I was like, this shit don't really taste good like people be saying. I'm like, you compare fucking McDonald's burger to Wendy's, and like or Burger King, it's no contest. I'm like, from a kid, I used to be wondering, like, why does that shit taste that way? Why does it look that way? It don't even look. Why is it light skinned?
Listen, when I was a kid, McDonald's. The reason why I'm able to get needles today is because of McDonald's. Listen,
man, I get all that. I get the bribery piece of it and all that. That shit is fucking garbage. You lucky to be here. But staying on track. Yeah, when we talk about I thought I grew up struggling, because I went to school with a lot of cats. I went to school with cats that grew up in West Mount Airy. Some of them lived in fucking Chestnut Hill. You know what I'm saying? And this was different parts of my life. So, and third and fourth grade, my best friend, Nigel, literally lived in Chestnut Hill. So my school was on Germantown Avenue. He trekked all the way up, take the 23 all the way up past the school jinx and all of that shit. That's where he lived. So it was like, I'm like, I don't know nothing about no Chestnut Hill in third and fourth grade, but I learned, you know what I'm saying? And then going to middle school and West Mount Airy. So all of the kids that I went to had parents who worked. And, even though it was a public school, it was the kind of public school that parents would pay for educationally. You know what I'm saying? And most of the parents who sent their kids there was, even the kids that was wayward or, trouble kids or whatever, but they came from somewhere decent. You know what I'm saying? They may not have turned out decent, but they came from something good. So I had a lot of different looks with income, especially third and fourth grade going to St. Barnabas, because everybody who went there seemed like their parents was doing well. You know what I'm saying? Like I went over multiple friends' houses. They all owned their cribs and they lived, whether they lived in Germantown, whether they lived in Chestnut Hill, Mount Airy, whatever, because it was a variety. Shit was crazy. And so, you kind of, I know I compared their income to mine, and third and fourth grade, my dad was making mad dough. He was like George Jefferson, with it, at that time. So, but seeing us go from being considered upper middle class at that time to 1980 and basically the bottom falling out of Wall Street in the McIntyre household, with my parents separating and all of that, I really started to know what struggle was. And I would learn a perpetual struggle until well into adulthood. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah. I went from a rich kid, literally, my dad used to say that we was rich and he meant that shit. And he had proof. To 1980, that shit all ended. I'm 10 years old. The shit wasn't fair. Even my mom said, like, yo, you got cheated. Your big sisters, they had the bulk of when the money was there. By the time you got into high school, the money dried up and shit. I'm back working a regular job. I'm not hustling. You know what I'm saying? But it was what it was. You know what I'm saying? So I knew what it was like to basically want anything, like ask my dad for anything. And even though he wasn't the type that would spoil somebody, he always would say, save up for half of it and I'll pay for the rest. But he meant that shit. He just
that's how my mom used to do.
yeah. He just, he believed that you should do something in order to get something. And if you do something, you can get something. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I went from basically asking for anything that I wanted and really expecting to get it to, yeah, I know how much my mom is making. I know how much my stepdad is making and all of that. So I'm just not asking. I'm not asking for shit. I'm waiting for perfect times to ask for shit. Like, it's crazy. Remember when name belts came out?
Oh yeah.
I remember not asking for a name belt. Like a name belt costs a lot of money. That shit ain't cost a lot of money. But
$20.
Huh?
$20 to $25.
Yeah.
Depending on how many letters you got.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot of money. And all the kids in school, I'm in 7th grade. All the kids in school, they got the name belts. I didn't ask for the name belt because I knew my mom was struggling. She wasn't struggling that hard. My stepdad was in the crib. You know what I mean? He made good money. He worked for the railroad his whole life and all of that shit. He was in the union. He was making money. He drove a Cadillac, then a Lincoln. You know what I'm saying? But I felt the struggle because it wasn't like when my dad was there. You know what I'm saying? And my dad was struggling. He went from, this man used to literally wear suits every day, every fucking day, 3-piece suits every day in the 70s. He was sharp. He was clean. El Dorado after El Dorado after El Dorado. He got a new car every 6 months. No bullshit.
Well, he was walking a Mac.
He was literally
had his own theme music.
He was literally on some George Jefferson shit. But seeing him have to go back to work, you know what I mean? He had to go back, recalibrate, start all over. Started buying houses and all of that. But he had to build back. And I felt that. So I didn't ask him for a lot. My big sister, she didn't give a fuck. Struggling, no struggle. She asked for what she wanted. I was never that bold. You know what I mean? I'm waiting for the perfect time. Like a fucking name belt? Why I can't get a name belt? I can get a name belt. I could have thinking back on it.
One thing about it. Now we can talk about some struggles because you naming things that I've never had.
I tried to told you.
Father in my life that did what your father did.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that was a struggle, and to this day, that still hurts me. Even though my dad passed away in the 90s, in the beginning of the 90s, it still haunts me. It hurts me because, when I think about that, it was the way he did it was because of jealousy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the shit that still bothers me. You don't do that to any child, because your father treated you like shit, so you want to hit your father to treat me like shit, and then you be my father, or you wanted to not be my father, and my grandfather treat me like a good grandson. Because I don't know which one it was.
Yeah.
My father, I remember the good clothes. I remember the gold tooth. I remember the hats. I remember the suits. But I don't remember the providing. Like I said, throughout my lifetime, I think my dad might have gave me roughly $250 in my lifetime.
Okay.
Never bought me. My stepmom had to beg him to buy me a pair of sneaks. $35 for a pair of Nikes, Cortez Nikes. So I mean, that was a struggle. That was a struggle with me. Another struggle was not having an older brother or an older brother that could take me by the hand and be an older brother, because he was so much into himself, that he didn't give a fuck about nobody else. He was selfish. Never taught me nothing. Never said, well, let me teach you this. Let me teach you about girls. Let me teach you that. Let me see. You had sisters that would teach you certain things about certain things. You know what I'm saying? My sister didn't teach me shit. I I had a brother, a sister, a brother. Only my middle brother taught me a lot. That was more like a father figure to me. But even still, you know, we both grew up with the same mother, and this brother that's a pastor don't know how to say I love you. He thinks actions speak more than words. You know, so if you want to know struggle, I still struggle with that type of shit.
I understand.
You know, I
do.
still struggle with that. That shit is bothersome to me because that's not the person that I grew up to be, and that's not the person I'm glad I'm not. You know, I love to show love to my fellow man or to my brothers that's not my blood brothers. You know, but when you sit back and you deal with that shit as a kid, that shit still haunts you, man.
All right, so
still bothersome.
Did you have to watch somebody else? Did you have to watch somebody else, you know, have the open displays of affection and the fatherly, attention and stuff? Okay, all right.
Yeah, I had a book. When I went to Greenfield, my two best friends, and I'm gonna say their name because I love them like brothers, man. Albert Abel and Ward Tillman.
Okay.
Now Albert, he fly shit. He had the name though. If he had anything he wanted, his sisters would give him anything he the fuck wanted. And when his birthday came, they spoiled him. Christmas came, they spoiled him. You know what I mean? And he lived down there, right, not that far from Pasco Projects.
Mm-hmm.
Right across from Orton Reed.
Yeah.
So I mean, but the thing about it is that I didn't, when he would come to school, say, yeah, my sisters bought me this for my birthday, or my sister bought me that, or my mom or my dad bought me this, I'd be like, damn, I got a sister, I ain't never get shit from her. Not a card, not a dollar. Not a dollar I didn't have to get back. So, I mean, that's a lot of struggle when I start hearing you, and I applaud your pop. I met your pop numerous times. And what I always remember about your pop is that smile. That smile, boy. Every time I seen him, he was fresh to death and always smiling. Know what I mean? And you know what I remember about Mom, the chocolate cake and the cake she be making around the pies.
That's what's up. But let me ask you this. So have you ever, with the struggles that you had with your family and with your dad or whatever, have you ever met somebody who really had it worse than you?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's the family that I was just talking about. Who lost a mother. And my mom stepped in to be the honorary mother to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, the father used to do things with the daughters, the oldest daughters. And the whole neighborhood knew. So, I mean, and at some point in time, I think DHS went over and investigated it, and they found nothing, but we still knew there was we do know that some of like two of the kids, or maybe three of the kids might be their brothers and sisters and not, not their father's kids and not somebody else's kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I mean, I've seen people who had it worse off than me with the father or with the mother or not having a mother or losing a mother at an early age.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Well, how did that make you feel?
It made me feel, I heard for them just as like, I heard it for them. But see, I didn't take notice to a lot of my things until I got older. Because that's when my elders started explaining me certain things that I really didn't focus on.
Mm-hmm.
But when I seen other people going through things like people lost their mom, that hurted me. I have a fucking heart of gold when it comes to other. I got sympathy and empathy for my fellow man and woman. So as a kid, when you see somebody lose their mother at an early age, and they're your friends, you like them, you cry with them.
Yeah.
You hurt for them.
A friend of our families that lived right down the street from us. This is one of my sister's best girlfriends. And my mom was cool with her mom. And her mom committed suicide in 1978. And the dad was on some. The dad wasn't necessarily a bad man, but he definitely wasn't an attentive father. But he was a money maker. You know what I mean? He the money wasn't a problem. He owned his own business, but he left behind 2 daughters. You know what I mean? The mom left behind 2 daughters, and the father, he was kind of doing his thing. You know what I'm saying? So my neighbor was left at the crib. She was 9 at the wait. She's 2 years older than me. But you know how like my birthday is in August and her birthday is in December. So there are times when we only a year apart. So I'm 8. So she's 9 at the time her mom committed suicide. And then she turned 10 later on that year. You know what I'm saying? Because it was right around when school first started that she did that. Took a bunch of pills and shit. And it wasn't her first suicide attempt. Like many people think that she probably did an accidental suicide. Like she used to, she was crying out for attention. And they think that she fucked around and, put herself in a position where she couldn't come back because there's evidence that she tried to call somebody for help. But she did it. She did herself in. So yeah, I really felt for her. You know what I mean? Because she had to raise herself for the most part, like her aunts and uncles and all, But she was at the crib a lot by herself. And as she started becoming a teenager and shit, how it go? Because she had the crib to herself. She had the crib to herself, son. You know what I mean? And they crib was like my crib, but they lived on the first floor and rented out the second and third floor.
Right.
So it was like she had her own place. She was there by herself. And her older sister graduated in 80. So, she moving on. You know what I'm saying?
She living life.
Yeah. So it was a tough situation. So I always felt for her, in that way. And because I know it was tough. And to this day, I know that her struggle is some real. She struggled a lot with a lot of things emotionally and shit. But I mean, imagine losing your mom at 9 years old. You know what I mean? And your dad, although he's a potentially good dad, he's a good providing dad, but he doing his thing. You know what I mean? He was living his life. And he wasn't there most of the time. He had another crib somewhere else. Got married a couple of times. You know what I mean? He had a couple other widows. He's a black widower.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
but let me say something to you, right, son? Earlier you was talking about what were you talking about? You said something about damn. You said something. I forgot what the fuck you said something about.
Nothing.
No, it was good. No, it was something that you had said something about, and I was like, I gotta bring that up again. But when it hit me in the head, I'll say something about it.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you this. One of the biggest struggles that I had was when I first went to college. Because I really graduated with a 10th grade education because I flunked 8th grade. And so I would have graduated in 89, but I didn't really get put back up. My dad wanted me to go to student ed so I could get put back up in my right grade and graduate. But the thing is, I didn't learn the things that other 11th graders and 12th graders learned. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I never had algebra. I think I did have a version of Algebra 2, but I never had English 3 and 4. But it just so happens that I was so good at English that that's basically what got me through school, period. You know what I mean? I could read well. But when I first went to school, when I first went to Penn State, you know, I was very insecure because I knew where my aptitude level was in comparison to the. I'm thinking that I'm like, damn, these white kids, they must be teaching them some fly shit. You know what I mean? And them schools out in the suburbs. No, they didn't. They just went to 11th and 12th grade, and I didn't.
Right.
So I had to try to work with what I was working with, and it was hard, especially the classes that I was taking because I was trying to be on some pre-med shit. It wasn't gonna happen. Wasn't no fucking way. I don't care how much determination I had. Wasn't going. When motherfuckers trying to be a doctor, they gotta be groomed from the time they like 10 years old. You know what I'm saying? They get mentorships and camps and you know, people are guiding them. They already know doctors who already, you know, letting them know exactly what they needed to do in order to follow that path. I didn't know that shit. I could have known it, but I didn't, right? I'm thinking like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And so the first year and a half was a real struggle until I changed my major and, you know, found my path. But on my SAT, I think I only scored like a 800 or 900. And I was like, I mean, that was a point of contention for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, I should at least got a G. And I probably would have if I took it again. But my man, I remember one time I was in the student lounge or whatever. At Penn State Ogon, there used to be this area called Layers, Lares. And that's where everybody came. It was, you know, that's where you ate and, you know what I'm saying? You know, chilled out. And my man was in there. He was like, he said he ain't feel no kind of way about it. He said, yeah, I only scored like a 500 on the SAT. And I was like, damn, there was no way I would have admitted that. You know what I'm saying? There was no way I would have admitted that. But he did. And he said something that was so fucking ahead of his time and so profound to me. He said, yeah, I only scored like a 500. He said, but I'm here. He said, I'm here and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get me from here to there. And he did graduate. So I always had a lot of respect for him. You know what I mean? On the low. And it's funny because it's not always the person that you're talking to that gets the message that you are sending. I was getting the message. I was like, damn, this motherfucker can admit that he only got a 500 on the SATs. But I wasn't looking at him like he was no dummy. I was looking at him like he has achieved a level of transparency and of steadfastness that these other cats don't know nothing about. His self-esteem was where it should be. You know, and it wasn't based on his accomplishments. It was based on his determination
and confidence.
And I was digging that shit. Like, goddamn. Here I am hiding in the shadows. You know what I mean? Like, and this motherfucker, I'm like, if he can do that, now I can do what I gotta do. I was inspired after that. So yeah, I thought I was struggling until I heard him. And I was like, nah, I'm good. You know what I mean? I'm good. I can do this. I graduated. He graduated. And guess what? a lot of them other motherfuckers that scored 11 and 1200s didn't graduate because they didn't have that determination.
Some of them dropped out.
Plenty of them did.
Yeah.
Plenty. And that's not to say that they stupid or nothing like that, because they not. But it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And he got that. He understood that. So he helped me with my struggle. Yeah, Jason, you know him too. This shit is crazy. And so, yeah, like sometimes, you'll get what you need and you ain't even asked for it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought like I was struggling with my self-confidence as far as my scholastic aptitude until I saw him. And it wasn't about being better than him. He let me see that, nah.
Well, I put like even when we were doing.
By the way, he was from 24th and Carpenter.
Say that again?
He was from 24th and Carpenter.
Damn, down the street from me.
Real trap. He was from 24th and Carpenter. And when I say 24th and Carpenter, he was from 24th and Carpenter.
I might know him.
I'm sure you do.
I'm pretty sure I know him.
Mm-hmm. That was my man.
But the thing about it is, just like when we was doing comedy, I still remember the first time I came down there and I stood in that line. I think I met you. I met Derek Gaines, Orange Killable, and we just sat out there. I just out there listening to y'all. Y'all all joking with one another. But the thing about it is that certain people, with my insecurities of doing comedy, it got to the point where I just didn't give a fuck anymore because of what people was telling me. You said some things to me profound. Look, man, just go do what the fuck. What's the worst they can do? Not laugh. That's true. Either they gonna laugh or they not gonna laugh. Ain't nothing you can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
Not Spank, but Tommy Too Smooth. The best advice I ever got was from him. Was when he told me, when you able to laugh at yourself, then you'll be a funny comedian. Stop trying to take away. Use your cane as a joke. Talk about things in your life about yourself that you think is funny. That right there alone took about any fucking insecurity I got about myself. I don't give a fuck about it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say shit to me about me that I ever said about me. So I mean, that right there alone was something I was like fighting with, a lot of shit that I was fighting within myself. I'm a big guy, I'm not a fat guy. So with that being said, I'm like saying to myself, at the end of the day, no, I'm never gonna be, my name not Biggie. I ain't black and ugly as ever. No, bro. I got more Gerald Levert in me than Biggie. You know what I mean? So I mean, at the end of the day, man, at the end of the day, it's just a bunch of shit that you fight through. I'm proud to see that you were able to connect with the boy from 24th and Carpenter.
Hold on, let me tell you something else about that boy.
Help guide both of y'all to the next level.
Hold on, let me tell you something else about that boy. Like, because he was from South Philly, and because of the people he grew up around and grew up with and all of that, because he was a street dude for real. You know what I mean? So being around him a lot, I saw the ruthlessness in him. Real shit. He wasn't loud. He wasn't obnoxious. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He was a smooth criminal. But he had a ruthlessness about him. He would do things that I would never think. I'm not doing that. He would. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm.
So being exposed to him a lot of times had me like, damn. Where I'm thinking that maybe I take chances sometimes. Nah, not like the bull. Not like the bull. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when I say I thought I grew up struggling until I met him, I'm like, damn, he different. He different. And the crazy thing about him was that he didn't grow up broke. He came from a family, you know how that South Philly shit go. You know what I mean? Like just because motherfuckers live in a row home in South Philly, that don't mean they ain't got no paper.
Yeah.
It don't mean that shit at all. So his grandmother, she owned property and all of that kind of shit. They was plugged in the neighborhood and all that kind of shit like that. So he didn't come from no broke shit, but his mom and his dad wasn't together. And, he was a little bit separated from his pop and all of that kind of shit. So watching him, and this is the most important part, like being around him and watching him, and he's looking at the way I am with my dad. And he was always, I don't want to say envious, but he liked it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's how I feel. Never envious, but I like it.
But check this out. Check this out. I'll never forget. In the spring, summer of 1992, I did my internship overseas in Holland. I would have never gone had he not been like, we not doing our internship in Philly. We going to Holland. And I was like, how? You know what I mean? Real shit. I was like, how? We don't have a GPA. You had to have like a 3.0. I have it. He ain't have it. So he was like, oh, we going. Damn if the end of May, we ain't getting on a plane at Newark Airport on our way. That's what I'm saying. Like, this nigga was different. You understand what I'm saying? Like, he was different. He made me say, nah, man, it's possible. There's a way to get this done. It ain't about what you got. It's about what you can get. You got to open your mouth. There are ways.
Closed mouth don't get fed.
So when we left, his girl and his man, they drove him to Newark. My mom and my family, they drove me. You know what I mean? They saw me off like, yo, you know what I mean? Yo, make sure you stay safe over there. It's all love and all that kind of shit. And when we came home, his girl and his man came to pick him up. And when he saw my mom and my stepdad, I told my mom when I got home, I was like, I need some fried chicken. I need a 40 of Crazy Horse. It was some other shit. I was like, I need this soon as I step off the plane because I ain't had none of this since I left, since I've been out of the States. And my mom fried that chicken and brought that 40, and it was something else. It might have been like rice and roni. I'm in the back of the Monte Carlo SS. You know what I mean? I'm eating, I'm drinking. You know what I'm saying? By the time I got to the crib, I'm all nice and all of that shit. And when I got off the plane, when my mom, saw me, like, oh my, yeah, I mean, she hugging me, she kissed me. And, my stepdad, the same thing. They were so happy I got home. And he told me later on, he was like, oh, that was a beautiful thing. He was like, I felt some kind of way about that shit because I had to get my girl and my friend to come get me. Like, my mom ain't come get me. My peoples ain't come get me. And it wasn't that they didn't love him, but it wasn't like mine. You know what I mean? He felt the love, And when he told me that, I felt bad. You know what I mean? I felt bad. And I was glad that I had what I had, but I realized how much I took it for granted. And And
Just like, now I know what I was going to talk about. You was talking about how, you were scared to ask your mom and dad for things when the separation came about and this, that, and the other, and all that. And I was saying to myself, I remember when I was a kid, I was already, my brothers and my sister, they always was doing their shit. So, my mom would be at work and I would be home just looking at TV and chilling. So I was like, let me clean up.
mm-hmm.
So I'll take all the shit out the cabinet, clean the refrigerator, clean the basement. It wasn't no mopping at the floor, so I had to get the rag and get on my knees and wipe the floor down and front steps, do a whole clean out for my mom, which made it easy for me to say, Mom, can I get a couple of hours? You know what I mean? Because I took so much responsibility off of what she had to do that when she came home, she was like, who cleaned up? I said, I did, Mom. And then I go up, all frustrated on the step. Mom, can I get a couple of hours? Here, take this 5. Matter of fact, here, take this 10. You see? So that's what I learned to do. I learned to do things, and then it makes it easy for you to ask for things. When I was a kid, I learned that at an early age. I even told my kids that. I said, it takes me out because y'all just ask for things and don't do shit. And we just give it. You know what I mean? Yeah, JJ. Yeah, I'm a chef. I didn't have enough time to read things you were saying, JJ, but yeah, I'm a chef. You went to culinary school in Boston, huh? And made a decision to be pretty much to be a restaurant manager. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, so like I was saying, I learned at an early age that if you sit back and when I used to clean the whole house up with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
But when I either especially during the summertime, sometimes during school days, when the summertime came, I was cleaning the house. Shoot, my first house party came from me cleaning the house. I cleaned the damn house, the basement, everything. She came home from work. I said, Mom, can I have some friends over, have a little party? She sent me to the store, got some chips, some soda, shit like that. Had about good 20, 30 people in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I just always thought about, taking responsibility off my mom to give her an opportunity. And then in the same process is a win-win for me. She don't have to do no cleaning and I can ask her for something without her saying I don't have or this, that, and other.
Yeah.
Because, all parents, I'm always a firm believer of this. All parents or all grandparents don't have money for you, but they have money for what they got to do. You ain't going to cruise, but you ain't no money.
Well, they work for their money, so I get it. You know what I mean? I get it. But like I said,
but yeah, man, shit, boy. One day I want you to tell me who the boy from 24th Street was.
I'll tell you.
Yeah. Because that shit might be funny. I'll be like, damn, that was my boy too.
Very, very possible. I said that's very, very possible.
Yeah, it's very possible. Yeah, so, I mean, being downtrodden back in the day, I thought I didn't have much to say about being like that. But yeah, it's a lot that I struggle with.
Yeah. Listen, man.
There's a lot from back during my childhood that I struggled with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Listen, if the show was longer or if we was talking privately, we would dig out a whole lot more. You know what I'm saying? Shit. Just doing my homework was a struggle for me. I ain't like it.
Yeah, shit, yeah.
Struggle's a struggle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, another struggle I had is when people, like my grandmother who helped put me through school, and it taught me a lot about politics and everything. And even my mom and them always wanted me to compare me to my brother. So I'm like, why don't you be like Peanut? Peanut got this. Peanut got a 4.0. Peanut do this. Peanut do that. And it made me feel so insecure about myself that I would protect him more than I would protect myself. You know, it's stories I would tell him today that he never really thought about. You know, like, damn, I didn't even really realize that as a kid. Well, yeah. Yeah. You know, I protected you more than I would never want nobody to fight you because I wouldn't want you to hurt your hands because you was a drawer. You was in advertising and design and you went to creative and performing arts for art. So you needed your hands. You know, so I mean, at the end of the day, people don't know your struggle. And even when I told him today, it wasn't like, damn, I really appreciate that. It wasn't that, you know what I mean? Like, if you tell me something, when you sit up and we discussed that situation that happened, when I did that comedy show with the other comedian, all that shit happened, and how you can talk about how you can tell me, I told that motherfucker, I ain't want to get destroyed like that. That's my people. We cool. We tight. That's my brother. I still, you know, glow inside because I feel that. Not my brother. I can tell him things that I did to protect him, or my aunt feels some type of way about him. I would snap or curse him now. I'll curse my older brother out. I protect him from people and stuff. But you don't understand that. You don't. I protect your cloth with God before I even protect my own cloth with God. And when you see me going through my struggle, you can't even pray for me on the phone or in person. But if I guarantee you, if I tied with you, you'll pray for me. So you mean I struggle with that type of shit, man.
Yeah. All right.
I struggle with that shit.
All right. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do the poll question. Yeah, let's do the poll question. The poll question says, which income class would you say that you grew up in? 9% said well-to-do, grew up with means. Okay, this is out of 33 votes. All right. 24% said upper middle class, upper five figures or six figures. Not bad. 36%, which is the bulk, says lower middle class, blue collar. You know, we had regular jobs. You know what I mean? And 30%, this is a lot. This is a lot for this poll. 30% says broke, poor, projects, or welfare. It is what it is. But once again, it ain't where you start. It's where you finish. It's funny. It's funny, man, because you know we talk about how we wanted more for our kids than we had growing up, and I always wonder, like, did our parents feel the same way? I know mine did. You know what I'm saying? Because both of mine grew up poor, and both of them wanted a lot more for themselves than they had growing up. You know, but with some parents, or with some people that I know, you don't really see evidence of that. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference between just taking what life hands out to you and trying to make your mark in life and going for yours. And I'm of the belief that at some point you have to go for yours. You can't just allow somebody else to feed you. And I'm not talking about welfare or anything like that. When I say allow somebody else to feed you, I mean, instead of you deciding what you want for yourself, you just taking from a grab bag of what's available. Because I don't understand how you'll ever really be happy with that. But hey, it is what it is. All right, so let's do these birthday shout outs. We have some birthday shout outs to do. Some people were born on this glorious. November 20th, and they deserve to be acknowledged. So let's go about our business of acknowledging them and making them feel special because they are special because they are special because they are SPECIAL. They get the RESPECT. They are SPECIAL. They get the RESPECT. They are SPECIAL. They get the RESPECT. They get number one out the box to Kenya Styles and also Joyce Salazar and M. Lynn Nixon and Fiona McKenzie, straight out of Belize. And last but not least, my girl, go get her Donna Clay. And she's raising money for Autism Speaks. I'm going to say happy birthday to all of y'all. And I hope that today finds you all a good health, happiness, mind, body, soul, and spirit. And that goes out to each and every person out there born on this glorious November 20th, anywhere out there in the world, worldwide, internationally, and universally. All of y'all go ahead and turn up. But don't turn up too loud. Just turn up loud enough so everybody can hear you. Rock out. Rock on to do the damn, the rock out. Rock on to do the damn rock out. Rock on to do the damn thing. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. Good things happen to those who wait. Great things happen to those who grind. And anything can happen to those who go for theirs. So go hard, go for yours, and remember, man, listen, I thought I grew up struggling until I met people who were struggling way more than me. I thought I grew up struggling until I really had to struggle for myself and try to keep my kids out of that struggle. I thought I grew up struggling until I realized how well my parents had done for themselves in order to make sure that I would have something for me and mine. I thought I grew up struggling until I realized that your situation could always be a lot better and it can always be a lot worse. And if you don't handle your business, you won't have control over how much better it gets or how much worse. I thought I grew up struggling until I saw the Buffalo Bills lose against the Houston, Texas tonight. And that's what the fuck they get. I'm laughing. And even though I like the Bills.
You know that's Jalen Hurts' fault.
Yeah. I'm like, yo, the Bills be fucking up, boy. Now, I mean, they want the Bills to be the best so bad. But who's the best, though? You know what I'm saying? Ain't ain't shit nobody can do about it. I never saw this much drama around a winning team in my whole life.
Never, bro. Never. I was just looking at Shady and the Bull. What's his name? Emmanuel Archo.
Yeah.
And the Bull talking about the title is the Cowboys gonna make the playoffs and beat the Eagles this weekend. They just have talking points. Right?
That will be their playoffs if they beat us this weekend.
Yeah.
But it's not going to happen. But anyway, love is love. Listen, my brother, I appreciate you coming through as always.
I got to commend you on the rugby, boy.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Rugby, boy.
I'm pretty sure you got a polo horse at the house somewhere, bro.
Shit. I wish I had a polo bank at the house. Fuck that shit. You know what I'm saying?
You got a lot of Ralphie.
Nah, I mean.
That's one of the brand new ones you just got, ain't it?
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
All right, good brother, man. We gonna talk.
All right, man. Have a good night.
All right, holla at your boy, man.
Ditto. Okay. Coming live and direct from Can't Get Rid of This Cold, boy. All right. Peace to all my day ones. My everydays and my brand news. I love y'all to death. Resuscitate y'all. I love y'all right back to life. We will be back tomorrow at 1 a.m. 1 a.m. Y'all know on Friday we do the music show. And we have more fun than you could ever throw a stick at. So make sure y'all come through Not 2 a.m. tomorrow night, 1 a.m. tomorrow night. So if y'all come through here at 3:30, we ain't gonna be here. But we'll be here at 1 and we'll be here at 2. I'm going to bed. And that's gonna do it. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Make sure that y'all share the show. Make sure that y'all subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel. And holla. Peace.